Hello everyone, welcome back to another Grimgar video. I am fully moved into my apartment. I have a new desk, I have a new office room now. I will say that the room is a little echoey for my liking. I have to finish up putting sound padding in this room. But for the most part, I'm all set, I'm all moved in. But I am sorry this video is late. This desk took basically a whole day to put together because it's huge. But now I should be back on a good video making schedule, so you should expect consistent content from this point onward, unless some crazy bullshit possibly happens. I don't know. But that's not really what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Grimgar. And this video was supposed to be a review of volume 12, but I'm still in the middle of getting through that book. I'm about halfway through it, and the next video that comes up should be that review. But till then, I'm going to keep talking about the relationships in Haruhiro's party. Today's video is going to be about Haruhiro and Kuzuku. And while Ranta and Haruhiro is probably the most important relationship in Grimgar because it's given the most screen time, essentially, Kuzuku and Haruhiro's is probably one of my more favorite ones because it starts out as, like, basically Haruhiro just not liking the guy and eventually seeing him as a brother. And they're also similar to Haruhiro and Ranta. Kuzuku and Haruhiro are also kind of polar opposites, too. And I will say, Haruhiro is closer to Kuzuku than he's ever been to Moguzu. You can fight me on that, because it's just factual. But like in my previous videos, I'm going to go through the entirety of the light novel and pick out certain points in the story that best represent Haruhiro and Kuzuku's relationship, and how it changes and evolves and kind of just becomes something different from the beginning to the end. And unfortunately, yes, spoiler warning, this relationship does have an end. Haruhiro and Kuzuku's relationship didn't really start until volume 4, but they did actually meet in volume 3. In volume 3, Haruhiro and his friends were tasked with essentially getting ladders to the walls of Deadhead Keep. Kuzuku's party was also tasked with the same thing, except they were a lot worse at it, and they ended up getting attacked by orcs. Haruhiro and his friends actually decided to put the ladders down and go help Kuzuku and his party. Haru's party ended up saving them, and Kuzuku had some not so polite banter with Ranta. And Kuzuku kind of showed that he was kind of jealous of Haruhiro's party in a way. Haruhiro also nicknamed him Mr. Tall in the book. Unfortunately for Haruhiro and Kuzuku, Haruhiro witnesses Kuzuku fail to save Choco. He was trying to defend her from orcs, but the orcs batted him away, and then proceeded to murder the absolute crap out of Choco.
That bitch is dead, she's gonna have a...
Kuzuku was the only survivor of his party, by the way. The rest of them got slaughtered horribly. Which, for the record, if you want to know why, is a video of why Kuzuku's leader is an absolute moron. If you guys want to go check that out when it comes to bad leaders. But in the 4th book, Haruhiro essentially used Choco's death and Kuzuku's inability to protect Choco as kind of an excuse to dislike Kuzuku. Kuzuku wanted to join Haruhiro's party to replace Moguzu because Moguzu's dead by this point, and he wanted to be their tank. Haruhiro was not okay with this, and he constantly kept rejecting him. Eventually, however, when Haruhiro and his friends were actually planning to head to the Wonder Hole, Kuzuku he kind of ambushed the party and asked if he could join, and he admittedly put Haruhiro in a bad position where he had to actually accept him because, well, they needed a tank for their party, and everyone kind of agreed that he should have a tank, so they let him join. Haruhiro didn't really like Kuzuku for a long time, but however, he did prove that he could be a decent tank against the Estral, and you get to see Kuzuku actually go from being a scared kid, not really thinking outside the box when it comes to fighting, to eventually becoming someone who is actually a pretty decent tank, at least the bare minimum decent. However, because of the way that he got better, because he kept asking Mary for advice, it led to Haruhiro thinking that Kuzuku and her were dating, because Haruhiro, well, he's a dumbass. And for the next couple of books, they kind of essentially imply that Haruhiro's jealous of Kuzuku and Mary and blah blah blah. Listen, I've talked about this in the past. I hate this subplot, but Haruhiro does go from being jealous to eventually, in volume 7, yes, we go through basically like 3.5 books worth of Haruhiro being kind of jealous of Kuzuku, before we get to the point where he realized that Kuzuku actually was not dating Mary and actually got rejected by her. And then Haruhiro and Kuzuku have an honest, open conversation where they kind of just talk about him being a tank, him being in the party for a while, him and Mary talking to each other, and they just have an open conversation while they're taking a bath together. And from that point onward, Haruhiro realizes he's been kind of an idiot and gives Kuzuku more of a chance. And eventually their relationship develops to more of a brotherly thing. Kuzuku does actually value Haruhiro's views and opinions so much that he will actually just immediately do whatever Haruhiro says because he trusts his thought process so much more than his own. In volume 12, the book that I'm currently reviewing, Haruhiro and Kuzuku and the rest of the party go to a dwarven underground dungeon thing, and Haruhiro's trying to open the door and look through some chests and make sure they're not trapped. And Haruhiro says that he believes that there are no traps as far as he can tell on the chests. However, because Harihiro is kind of insecure, he still doesn't want to open the chest because he thinks that he could just be wrong. Kuzuko, however, refuses to take that and says, if you think it's not trapped, I believe it's not trapped. So he opens the chest because he completely has so much trust in Harihiro's instinct that he actually just opens up a chest. He could have been blown up, doesn't care. He's just like, no, Harihiro says it's fine, and he just opens it up. And this just shows you just like how much trust Kuzuko has in Harihiro. However, Kuzuko is still an idiot and opens up another chest a second later that Harihiro didn't check yet and ends up triggering in, I swear to God, Indiana Jones trap with a giant boulder. After this point, Harihiro does start to believe that Kuzuko is kind of his polar opposite. He does kind of get annoyed with him, but he also starts to realize that while Harihiro is very pessimistic, Kuzuko is an optimist. He lacks any of Ranta's like rudeness, so he's able to look on the bright side and think better of things around him, while also just not annoying the crap out of everyone. He is still, however, very immature. And throughout the book, Harihiro and him just kind of have like dumb little dorky conversations back and forth, or Kuzuko will just be goofy and like kind of play with like Satora's cat in their party and will bark at it. And this is primarily because Kuzuko just is so comfortable when he's around Harihiro. And Kuzuko's even admitted that he feels a lot safer when Harihiro is around because he knows that he's going to be keeping the party safe. And Harihiro says that the party feels safe when Kuzuko's around because he physically keeps everyone safe. Around this time is essentially when Harihiro starts to realize that Kuzuko's kind of his little brother. He's immature and dorky, but as long as Harihiro keeps him in line and actually aims him in the right direction, he is really like a menace when it comes to like being a tank. Kuzuko becomes such a good tank that in volume 16, Harihiro actually leaves Kuzuko and the rest of the party to flank around a giant goblin horde to go take out the leaders of the goblin horde. While Harihiro is taking out the leaders, Kuzuko kills off so many goblins that when Harihiro comes back to meet up with him, Kuzuko is drenched in the goblin blood and guts. And Harihiro mentions that he knew that they were going to be safe as long as Kuzuko was around. I should also mention that Kuzuko has such commitment to the party that he was willing to sacrifice himself in volume 15. Lucky for him, they did actually get him to get back up because of Mary's sacrament. So Kuzuko got very lucky that none of those crossbow bolts hit him in the head. One of the funny things in volume 18, Harihiro gets his memories back, and Kuzuko talks to him after Harihiro gets his memories back, and he talks about how he's happy that out of everyone that got their memories back, it's Harihiro that gets them back, because he's the only one that technically really needs them for it to matter, because he's in charge. And it's funny because he's kind of right. Like, if Kuzuko got his memories back, that wouldn't change anything in the story. Haru getting them back is way more important. And finally, at the end of volume 18, Kuzuko does actually get cut in half by Jumbo. And Mary lets herself get taken over by the No Life King, and the No Life King revives Kuzuko, turning him into a sort of new kind of undead. And Kuzuko's entire goal now, after being turned into an undead, is to get Harihiro back, kill him, and have the No Life King turn him into an undead as well, because for some reason his personality kind of seems to sort of be inverted in some ways. The way he sees his love for Harihiro is to kill him to make him an undead because he thinks that's better for Harihiro. And we know from spoiler warning, again, spoiler warning for anybody who has not seen or read anything from volume 20, we know that Harihiro meets back up with Kuzuko at some point, but we don't really know what happens. But I have a feeling I know what's gonna happen. And the saddest part is, Harihiro is essentially having to fight his brother now. And it's so sad. Because I know that a lot of people see Harihiro and Ranta as like best friends. And they kind of are, sort of. They're like begrudging friends, kinda. But the sad truth is, Harihiro gets along with Ranta and is willing to like probably die for Ranta. But he doesn't have the same feelings that he has for like Kuzuko. Kuzuko he treats like a brother, while Ranta he treats as somebody he has to work with. But that's my video talking about the relationship between Haru and Kuzuko. And yes, I am very sad because I love Kuzuko so much, and it makes me really sad that his life is basically most likely gonna end in volume 20, and it's probably gonna be by either Ranta or Haru's hands. But thank you to all my subscribers over on my Twitch. I really appreciate the support you guys have been giving me. And especially now since I have my own apartment, I need to pay more bills. So if anybody wants to donate, use the thanks feature here on YouTube and get a shout out at the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I love you guys. Have a great night. Bye! Thank you to Wisteria Hysteria, Take It Easy Terry, Gracie _, RJ Has Problems, Noberto Games, Avengers _, Bubulu 83, Josias 93, Dio 098, Tokabell, and Van _Hoovenstein. Thank you all for your subscriptions over on my Twitch. I appreciate it.